Thank you for picking me up at the airport.
You're welcome. How was your week?
Long. 40 hours of meetings in 4 days and then a workshop on the last day. How's John?
Well, he's mad at both of us for getting vacation, and he didn't get one.
But we told him I was at work all week. And how can he be mad at you for getting a vacation because you were home all week?
Apparently, taking you to the airport and picking you up counts as a vacation.
Oh, John.
How you doing, Circle? I've had a lot of people asking me for autism information about the difference between a temper tantrum and a meltdown. Now, it's said that with a temper tantrum, the person is in complete control of themselves and are just throwing a fit to get their way. Oh, they may act like they're going to hurt you or themselves, but it's only for show. During a meltdown, however, the person has no control over their actions. They're only responding to the circumstances and may very well hurt themselves or others. Well, it's a little fuzzier than that. Now, in essence, temper tantrums are purposeful. The person throwing the fit is doing so in order to accomplish something, whether that be getting their way, receiving something, getting out of trouble, etc. Now, sure, the person may act like they're going to hurt themselves.
If I'm grounded, I'll just hold my breath.
And may even do so unintentionally.
Oh look, he passed out.
But in the end, it's more show and manipulation than anything else. With a meltdown, on the other hand, the person is reacting to something. This could be something environmental like too much noise. It can be overstimulation such as excitement during an activity. Heck, it can be something as simple as a scratchy shirt. Regardless of the reason, they're reacting to something that is very real to them. We've talked before about seeing things through the eyes of someone with autism, so you'll understand that an itchy shirt just might be the equivalent of you going through an ancient Chinese water torture. You do whatever you had to do to get out of that circumstance. Of course, it can also be because they aren't getting their way. And that's where things begin to get a little confusing. John and I had a rough day a little while back. We planned an adventure day, including a visit to a water park, the zoo, and a special trip to an outdoorsman store, which he absolutely loves. Long story short, it was a horrible day. Hot weather, long lines, big crowds. I couldn't have planned a better scenario for a meltdown, and he definitely obliged me with one. And it's not my intent to put John in a bad light, so suffice it to say, we left the water park early, and by the time we made it to the car, I was done with him for the day. Done. Of course, the argument now was all about taking him to the store. There was no way in HELL that I was taking him to the outdoorsman store. He was already having a meltdown, and I tried everything I knew to settle things down. What was one more thing at this point? I just wanted to get home and be done. Besides, I was not about to reward his bad behavior. What did he do? What do you think he did? He continued his meltdown. Keep up with me, people. Then I thought about it. Now, although this all seems related, it's really not. The store's a separate issue. In his mind, he was going to the store after the water park, and regardless of how that went and what kind of mood we were each in, it's still what he expected. And I don't know if you realize this or not, but someone with autism doesn't accept a change in plans very easily. He wasn't having a temper tantrum at that moment over not getting to go to the store. He wasn't even continuing the meltdown from earlier. He was having an autistic meltdown as a reaction to a change in plans. Now, Circle, I'm not here to tell you how to raise your child, and I'm not here to argue the merits of teaching a child a lesson for their bad behavior. I'm not saying what I did was right, nor am I saying it was wrong, but I took him to that outdoorsman store. Now, I refused to buy him anything. That was never part of the plan and wasn't arranged beforehand. Tell me I have to buy you something, boy. I tell you what. You're lucky I don't wear you out like a borrowed lawnmower. You should fan me and feed me grapes when we get home. It's autism, guys. When you read that someone with autism can't control themselves during a meltdown, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to go wild and hurt themselves, hurt you, or go crazy and break stuff. In this case, it meant that he couldn't control the fact that he was getting angry over me refusing to take him to the store as we had planned. A temper tantrum is thrown by someone trying to get their way. A meltdown is an uncontrolled reaction to something. The uncontrolled part was his anger and the fact that he couldn't let it go. They may look the same to an outsider, but they're totally different. Now, I know there are some of you out there saying to yourself, how do you know he couldn't control the fact that he was angry and hasn't just conditioned you to let him get his way? Simply put, it's because of all the other factors. The not getting jokes, not understanding social situations, being obsessed with certain topics. The list can go on and on. He matches all of the criteria for someone with autism. You can't read a person's thoughts or see in their brains, but you can certainly look at all of the facts and draw intelligent conclusions. And this is autism, folks. Plain and simple. Now, just for fun, let's get confused all over again. Does everything I just said mean that someone with autism only has meltdowns and never has a temper tantrum? No, it does not. People with autism certainly have temper tantrums just like any other neurotypical person. The problem, though, is that a temper tantrum can easily lead to a meltdown, and you won't always see that transition. So should you let him or her get their way when they have a tantrum in order to avoid a meltdown? No, you shouldn't. Usually. Sometimes. It's hard to say.
You need to make up your mind.
Here's the deal. Sometimes we put too much emphasis on the fact that our child has autism and give them special treatment that we wouldn't give to a neurotypical kid, even though we shouldn't. Other times, we aren't sensitive enough and expect more out of them than we should. It's no different than parenting any child in the fact that sometimes you get it right and sometimes you get it wrong. And sometimes you just give in because you're just plain tired and it's easier, even though you know it's the wrong choice. None of us are perfect. They're your child, and you're going to make mistakes. It's okay. You're not going to ruin their life, even though they may tell you you are. The main thing to remember is that in the long run, the goal is to teach them right from wrong and guide them to the right choices overall. So often it'll seem like you're getting nowhere, and at times it may even feel like things are going backwards. But this is a long journey, not a quick trip. Hopefully at least some of this has made sense, and you're beginning to get a clearer picture of the difference between a meltdown and a tantrum. If you think someone else may benefit from seeing this, then don't keep us a secret. You have no idea how many people you may help by sharing. Like us or give us a thumbs up if you agree. Continue to live in faith and not in fear, Circle. See you next week. Bye!